It is 6:03. Committees are in session. We'll go finance first. So it's 6:03. Finance has begun. Recording. We're live. Somebody's is watching it while they're doing it. Can you turn that off?
It was just me switching back.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So a few things. Real quick, we are going to have to move to exit, not finance related, but to exit summer recess during tomorrow's meeting, because this will be our only August meeting. So Mr. Fisher, if you would be so kind, tomorrow we'll add that to the caucus. And then look at going to the first and third Wednesdays of the month for September meetings. And committees would be that first Tuesday. So take a look at your calendars. And if there are any discrepancies or issues that arise, we'll talk about them tomorrow during caucus before we set those dates. So for finance, we're short and sweet tonight. We have one line item of legislation. It's that third read on the blanket purchase orders. Does anyone in the committee or on council have any questions about it? All right, so we'll pass that as a third read and we'll be good to go. Thank you to Lori for getting those put into place. It has actually become a little bit easier for finance committee to go ahead and sign off on those things ahead of time. So very beneficial.
Right.
Yes.
Can we pass that without waiting the 30 days?
This way they're done.
Yeah, then I can
see
start
that's an
utilizing them.
Does anyone have an issue with that?
Pass it as an emergency so she can do it now.
Yeah, you'd have to
Dad,
pass
you
it
just-
as emergency.
Yeah, we would.
Go ahead. I mean, I don't see any problem with it.
Yeah.
Just make
So we'll do
mention
that.
that it is the third reading, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, we're just taking the 30 days out, which
Yeah.
we vetted it out. So, all right, perfect. So we'll pass that as an emergency tomorrow.
Thank you.
No problem. That's our only piece of legislation. Couple other things. We did talk about the COVID money that we did receive needs to be spent by October. Our 4 department heads have submitted requests as to what they may need moving forward. They are currently getting quotes. For example, I know a couple of the things were, especially in light of the Zoom meetings, iPads with LTE data, which they're getting the best possible quote on ahead of time. Obviously, PPE is part of that. So in the meantime, although we're not going to discuss it extensively today in committee, if someone needs masks or sanitizing cleaners or hand sanitizers or gloves, whatever it may be, please don't feel the need to feel as though council had not approved those funds. If need be, you can use them for your regular budget in the meantime. But what we're going to do is we're going to have all the quotes and everything set for that September committees. So this way we can approve those expenses and find out exactly what's necessary so that we spend those funds prior to the October deadline. And again, those are government funds that aren't coming out of our budget. Anybody have any questions on those? All right, last but not least, yet another blow to the budget bottom line. Obviously, I believe everyone on finance committee did receive the email from Mrs. Canada. We got a projection on our local government funding for 2021. It's going to be a little bit over 20,000 and change. To put it in comparison, the 2020 number was just around 37.5. So we're at nearly 17,000 down versus the previous calendar year. So coming into 2021, we're looking at a substantial hit just on local government funds. I know usually this time of year, we're getting into budgetary meetings with our department heads. As I stated back in July, I think we hold off on that until we get more information with regard to just how, I don't want to say how bad, but just how significant the impact is with regard to our budget for next year due to COVID. So is anybody in opposition to that, to just delaying through September before you even start looking at a 2021 budget?
Councilman, when do we have to turn in a temporary to the county?
I believe that is in the end of, is that October?
October, yeah, just given a
Is it end of
timeline.
September? September?
End of September,
And again, that budget will be bare bones.
right,
That it's, and we don't want to have to bring it up, but the more and more things look, the less and less we're going to be able to do in 2021. So I'm asking department heads to start looking ahead of time at where we can potentially cut things out without cutting services. This way in September, we're kind of ahead of things when we look at that. That's all that I had tonight for finance. Did anyone have anything additional?
Yeah, real quick, Ray.
Yes.
In reference to the paving project this year, as we're talking about budgetary things, we don't have to make a decision tonight or tomorrow, but the paving project we had scheduled for this year. I know that, everybody wants to, pave roads, and I'd love to pave, a bunch of roads every year. But that being said, I'll really caution about going forward with this year's paving project. That's approximately, I think our share of that was about $90,000. And if we start running short next year, that'd be a huge help to our budget next year, that extra $90,000.
And I know we don't have to decide on that tonight, but I lean on the side of being in agreement with that.
I look at it,
Anyone else?
yeah, guys, we didn't even do last year's paving projections. We never got to hay.
No, we're talking
Okay,
about.
I know, but we're behind already so far. We did Grant. We never got to all those other streets from the previous year. Now this year we have this one in there. The money's there again, this one. My thoughts, if we're not gonna do this one, we need to put some of that money in some major pothole repairs and major repairs someplace, a portion of that to get us through, because as I said, for with 2019, all we did was Grant Street. We didn't do Hayes, we didn't do any of those others. We cut it short, and we never went back to those. We moved into 2020, went down to Connecticut, which is fine, but if we're not gonna do that, we're putting ourselves in big holes to try to keep our streets manageable. I mean, anybody drove around, I drove around today, and the potholes and the washouts on the side of these streets is really something to behold. We need to either do some serious patchwork and get them doable to get us through this winter. If we're not gonna do Connecticut, take some of that money and find something to address our washout streets and potholes that we got in the village, because as I said, we didn't finish the year before's project. We only did one street, we did Grant. And the reason for that, guys, is the competitive for the money. All the criteria to get these grants changed, not in our favor. So to get the points and everything, we had to get more money out there from our points, get some of these jobs. But again, the competitiveness is going crazy, and it's not guaranteed for next year either. But we backed out of that project to do one street, and we did Grant, but we never got back to those other streets. They're still there. They're not getting any better. And you look at Third and some of the other ones. I'm just pointing it out that if we're not going to do that, we need to. Anybody take a look at some of the potholes and some of the streets that are washed out all along the sides, and for safety reasons, get those ones we think we need to be done, and at least get those done before winter time gets here. My thoughts.
Well, and I agree with you there, but and Thomas, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we can definitely do some type of hot patch or cold patch, and the cost is significantly less. Correct?
nothing to correct. You're right. We have appropriated 160 in that street resurfacing program. I know that we spent a bit of that on engineering, but there's definitely money in there for next year if you want it. And definitely money in there to do the project this year if you want it. It did come in extremely low. Like the mayor said, our match is about 90,000. It's 144,000 total project cost. We appropriated 160. So like there's a huge buffer there. We had talked about paving a parking lot and getting this done.
Right.
So, but I mean, you guys got to weigh in on that and decide if you want to do the project or not. Definitely, there'd be plenty of money left over.
And the finance side of me says, and granted, that's more of a service issue deciding to do that, but from a finance standpoint, none of us saw COVID coming at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
this is something that's a once in a lifetime pandemic. And, it just, when it seems like we're going to start going in the right direction, it seems like things keep turning for the worst. I've said it before. I'll say it again. My firm belief on any expenditure that we have is we need to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. If that means it's going to cost us more money down the road to pave a road, I'd rather have to pay extra money than spend it and find out, we're going to have to lay off employees. And I'm not saying that's a possibility at all, but you know what I mean? We don't know just how bad this is going to be. And, there's answers coming every day from the federal government, the state government, the local. There's no consistency. We don't know what the future holds. So from my standpoint, it's, if we don't have to spend it at this point, I don't care what it is. I don't think we spend it. But again, we don't need to get into this tonight because we don't have to make that decision tonight. But I also agree that we need to keep the roads manageable and drivable. And I will say, I drive around just about every town in the Tri-County, and I will commend Thomas and the street department workers. I think we have some of the best roads in the Tri-County. So I challenge anyone out there who can find a better community that gets the bang for the buck for their roads. But I'll end it on that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, it is 6:16.
Thank you.
Finance is closed. We will go safety, 6:16.
Okay, we'll call 6:16. Both chiefs have submitted their month-end reports. We're not going to say that it's anything set in stone, but there was some communication that came through that we may end up getting the cruiser finally at the end of September, but we'll see how that works out. With everything else that's going on, delays would not be a shocker at this point. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we'll have that by the end of September. I did talk to the chief about the condition that our cruisers that we do have on the road are in. So it seems like everything's going pretty well. He just had a little bit of work done. So no major concerns there, but obviously we're down a vehicle. So hopefully we'll have that at the end of September. But Chief Stitt did put in his report that the Trumbull County Fire Chiefs Association had received a COVID grant. That'll end up resulting in McDonald receiving 18 masks with cylinders and 20 reusable gowns. That was an approximate cost of $3,000. Now there's a 10% match to the village on that. So it's going to be roughly about $300. I'm sure that that's in his equipment fund. I'm sure, everybody will probably be in agreement that that's not a bad use of his funds. Anytime you can get a 10% match on something. Lori looks like she wants to say something.
Because I think that we can use the COVID CARES fund money to do the 10% match. I actually watched a webinar on it, and you're allowed to do your match for FEMA grants with it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that, but obviously a good catch Those were what those funds obviously are out there for, but the fact that, you know, we can use that as a match is fantastic. So another nice little addition to the fire department. Great job on that. I don't really have anything else. If the chiefs have anything else,
No.
No, thanks.
rest of the committee. Okay, we'll close at 6:18.
All right. 6:18, safety is closed. We will go Parks and Buildings at 6:18.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I'd like to start out again by thanking Hannah and all the park attendants we had this year for putting on a great park program for, you know, for the stuff that we were allowed to do. They did a great job. There were a lot of things done over there. As everybody said, it's a different year. Different way things had to be done. We got manageable to what we could do, and I certainly thank them for a great year. And what we had open, you know, went very well, I thought. So park programs have finished up. You know, the road's open. So again, thank them for all the help that they gave us. Thomas, throw to you real quick. Anything you got to bring up?
No, I also echo the same thing, Rich. We had a great workforce. They did a lot more in landscaping when they could with the equipment stuff that we gave them. But, you know, we definitely lost out. The kids were wonderful. They could have really interacted if they were allowed to. I think we had a great class, but theirs was mostly education and teaching people about social distancing and COVID concerns. So they did a lot of cleaning, but we're going to miss them still. I noticed there was an increase in activity in the park as soon as the kids flipped out, which is a good thing, but I know that those social distancings and that still needs to be emphasized. And the mayor and I will have some decisions to make, but we'll be talking about that at a later date.
Okay, yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah, where do we go from here? As far as leaving equipment up and where to go, and you guys will be making that decision here shortly.
Thank
Anything new in the community room, Tom? Any more movement on that? In the community
Now,
room?
there was a state senior commission that distributed masks based off of participation by our seniors. I did the online registration. We did receive probably about 120 cloth masks. I don't know. There hasn't been any announcement of when we will open a room, but I know that's in preparation of that. But again, from the county to the state, there's no conversation about opening up senior community rooms yet.
Okay, well, that's a good update. That's a little
Yeah.
progress. So, again, we wait for the information, and then sometimes everybody gets anxious, but you know, we're in the loop. It's just nothing we can do about that. Thank you on that, Tommy. Anything else on the Cindy Green Memorial over here? Is there any more talk or communication on that? Thomas, do you know?
Yeah, as we get back into doing things that are outside of our essential duties, I will reach out to Ryan Robinson and talk to him about what could become progress on that event. But again, the mayor and I need to talk about a number of things.
Okay, sounds great. That's about all. Anybody else on the committee have anything you'd like to bring up?
Rich, I have one
Yeah.
thing.
Yes,
I did get notification, and I don't know, that's probably more safety than Parks and Buildings, but the Fire Social Organization voted not to have the October Festival.
okay,
It was just, you know, too much of trying to plan something where you don't know what's going to be allowed. You know, how many people, on and on. So they opted to, you know, wait till next year, and hopefully we can have our Fireman's Festival around the 4th like we always do.
okay, so the October 10th is canceled. Okay, I'll make that announcement tomorrow. Thank you. Yeah, you know, we got things to look at down where we got Halloween, Fall Fest, the Fall, Christmas in the Village. Those things are all things we're gonna have to be looking at here. Sure, you know, we're all through August, heading to September, and we have other functions we're really gonna have to take a hard look at to see which one would be doable, and we go from there. Keeping in communication with the health departments and, what the governor says, pretty much dictates a lot of what we're gonna do. And, being, you're always looking for the mask, the distancing, and, there's a lot of protocol out there right now just for the basics. But when you start talking specific events, they really get a lot more specific about what you need, can and can't do. And, that's whether you can do a lot of things is, or what the other standards are before you can do those type of events. So we'll be looking at it as we go down the road. We're always on a wait and see, but for right now, we're just at a standstill on, projects in the future, and missing out on the 100th year. Look forward to it, but everybody has to understand that just not doable at this time, and maybe get something next year. So I will. Nobody else or anything? I'll close at 6:24.
Nope.
Okay, Ray, you there? Where'd Ray go?
Oh, there we go. I was muted. I don't know why. So
You didn't hear me? You
6:24
didn't hear anything I said? Oh my God.
that was by design, sir.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. I
is
complimented you
6
numerous times.
It's 6:24. Service is in session.
What
Mr.
happened to
Schmidt,
Parks?
You need to go back to 2 meetings a month.
I heard you, Rich. I heard the whole committee, believe me.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. 6:24 service is open. I'm sure you all, well, if you haven't seen, the Republic containers are gone. And we have, I believe it's 2, Thomas, or do we get another one?
No, we did receive 2 new Geauga Trumbull Solid Waste Management front load dumpsters now in place of those 3 that are gone.
Fantastic. Thank
Yes, and again, we paid for the blue ones. We could. We're showing cuts, and the green ones are for free.
Correct. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And with that, the purchase of the service truck, Mr. Davicevich?
Yeah, I actually just finished transferring the title today at the county. It's in our name and in our service right now, and it was $11,000 for a used. It is a 60-foot aerial truck that has crane possibilities. It has a weight limit for holding large items. It's got a crane on it as well. So it's perfectly built for doing what we need to do with the tree program. We already started it. I'd say that we've removed a dozen trees already, and we'll continue to do that throughout this month till we complete what we have as an annual list. And then I'll, as funding persists, I will start stump grinding after that.
Excellent.
Yep.
One more question for you, Mr. Davicevich. How long do we have to decide on that paving project?
The money's available, and once you're granted money from OPWC, unless it's taken away from you or suspended like it was due to COVID reasons, once it reopens, that's a 2-year window that we have to spend that money. So although, I don't know if the contractor wants to hold on for 2 years, we already bid it. So there are some timelines where they may be able to step away from the project if we don't do it right now, or maybe, but I have talked to RT Vernal and Tom Boscarella is their rep, and he said they're fine, they understand, and that quote that they gave us is good throughout this year. So we have some time, Sean.
Okay.
So essentially, if things turn around, if things aren't as bad next year, the grant money that we got is still there. We're not, if we don't use the money this year, it's not like we're losing the grant.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
So if we hold off to see what happens, it would just, like I said, it'd make me feel a lot better about things.
we're only at risk of having to maybe rebid the project. We have a fully engineered project. No one can take that away from us. The grant money can't be taken away for another year. And the risk is having to rebid it if RT Vernal wants to back away from it.
Yeah, thank you for, I just felt that that was important to discuss. That. So we're not saying that we're done, we can't do it, you know, that,
Yeah.
thank you for the clarity there on that.
Now, there is a timeline, Mr. Schmidt, on applying for project year 24. I'm sorry, I get the project year. Anyhow, the construction for another project is starting up to apply for a new one, and I'll need your approval to move forward on to apply for another one, or do we want to just wait and work on what we have right now, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Outside of that, anything else from any other service members? No? Okay. At this time, I'll move to enter an executive session, Pool Service Committee, the Mayor, Solicitor Ross, and remaining council members to discuss imminent litigation with no business to follow. Roll, Mr. Lewis,
Aye.
Mr. Fisher, and Mr. Schmidt, aye.
Amy will do something to take us offline.
One sec, guys.
Still live?
I'm